What was European colonialism? How did it start? And in what ways was Switzerland involved? Colonialism was always about power. It started when European powers like Portugal and Spain tried to find new sea paths to India so that they could dominate trade with Asia. In 1492, however, by chance, they encountered America, not India. Christopher Columbus and his men opened the way for America to be colonized. Spain, Portugal, France, the Netherlands, and the British Empire set colonies there over centuries. In this process, the Europeans destroyed complete civilizations of indigenous people. Many were murdered, and others died from disease brought by Europeans. Many had to assimilate into the new European-led societies and lost their identities and languages. America is a name Europeans came up with in reference to the Latin name of colonizer Amerigo Vespucci. The modern European colonial project came up in the 16th century. Colonialism changed because of technological development in navigation. It was now possible to control populations despite being far away from Europe. Europeans settled all over the world and took away land from indigenous people. It became possible to move large numbers of people across the ocean. Around 12 million people were shipped across the Atlantic Ocean from Africa, and they were forced to become slaves. They had to work under brutal conditions in plantations to produce colonial profit for the Europeans. By the end of the 19th century, Europe ruled the world. Abya Yala or the Americas, Turtle Island or Australia, and big parts of Africa and Asia. Today, we refer to states and people that have been colonized as Global South. Europe and those states that are still mainly ruled by people descended from the Europeans, like the United States or Australia, we refer to as Global North. Europeans saw people from their colonies as non-humans, so they could justify the horrific violence against them. They came up with scientific and philosophical explanation for why they were non-human. Racism. White was superior, black, brown, yellow, red was inferior. Even states that didn't have colonies, like Switzerland, were involved. For example, Switzerland took part in the slave trade. It invested in ships that carried more than 170,000 Africans to Abya Yala, or the Americas. At one point, the city of Bern was the largest shareholder of a British slave trade firm, the South Sea Company. The city of Zurich also had shares in the company. According to a study, it was financially involved in the deportation of more than 35,000 slaves. In Europe, we don't learn enough about this brutal history. Columbus was not just an explorer, and definitely not a hero. He is the earliest symbol of centuries of murder, theft, and humiliation for the indigenous people of Abya Yala. Let's give them our solidarity instead of Columbus. And spoiler alert, colonialism has never ended. Stay tuned.